true to what you said on paper.
Welcome back to At the Round Table with MAMLEO. Into the second hour. I'm your host, Larry Elson, in studio with my brothers from another, even though you may not see them out there. They're here. Brother Rhodes Scholar is here, and the doctor is in the house. Dr. Bradley is with us, as long as our engineer, Pastor Hobbs. Now, you should want to take a look at this brother. Like I said, he is cleaner than the Board of Health. I want to thank our sponsor, The Money Store. Apologize for that. Just looking at The Money Store. For all your mortgage needs, give branch manager Cora Holbrook a call at area code 508-345-4726. That's 508-345-4726. Yes, you're listening to At the Round Table with MAMLEO. Yeah, here comes the crew here with the fire department down there running in here.
Oh, by the way, the Boston Fire Department are looking for cadets.
Yes, they are.
And then so we'll get the QR code so that
they're looking for a certain color. Or
no, they're looking for all kinds of cadets. So like I've been going to the barbershops, the black barbershops, the Hispanic, the Cape Verdean barbershops, and telling them please sign up.
Well, it's interesting. You see the Boston Police Department advertising something. I never saw them on billboards. They've got it all over their cruisers, all over the back windows, right? Because people just aren't, even though the pay is gone, but people aren't applying for these jobs. A big part of it is what happened during George Floyd, but also the cost. You have to live in the city of Boston.
Yes,
and Boston has become
very super expensive.
Affordable to live here.
But those are fiats and policies that could be redone, Larry, because I think getting these people of color in those positions. Think about where we are today.
Let me stop you there.
Okay.
And I'm gonna ask you, and you may agree and may disagree, because I used to say that same thing, getting people of color in there. Only thing I would add to that, the right people.
Right, exactly.
What I'm going there.
Okay.
All right, I was going there.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is
we don't
that
we don't want the coxes.
yeah,
Hello.
when you get people of color in a position where they can actually fund the education of their children.
Yes.
I raised 2 sets of kids on my police salary. All those, I have one child. The last one is now leaving Chicago Med and going to do her residency at the Pacific Medical Center in California. All right, because I was able to put her through school. One of them also at Harvard as a dean. A pastor, a computer engineer. So what I'm basically saying to you is that was because of the Boston Police Academy, Boston Police salary. The salary is nice. And now that I'm retired, I have a very healthy pension
yes.
that most people do not have,
yes.
and they would kill to have it.
So private corporations do not provide.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so that need to be also one of the things that our young men and women need to understand, that you're not going to have the energy of the youthful energy for the rest of your life. You're going to get older.
Yes.
You're going to get the gray hair and the bald head.
That's what it's called planning.
Yes. And so they have to understand that.
Yes.
Look at just one situation.
But to that point, that's what I'm saying, is that even if you wanted to, if you can't afford to live here, then you can't apply for these jobs.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
And what I'm saying is that those are 2 separate conversations. And the reason, let me explain to you why. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm saying that the people in charge, people in place now, need to work on that policy.
I totally agree.
I think people made it sound good. So they made public policy because of the way it sounded. They didn't look at the economical impact that these people would have if they resided in the city.
But it's been around so long, right, that at that point in time, you could find some place in the city that was affordable. That is no longer an option anymore. When the average price of a home in Boston is $1 million, even on a police salary, it is very difficult. Like you and I, I bought properties in Boston. When I came on, it was more affordable, but
no,
now,
I remember my dad bought his first house for 3-decker for $30,000.
Okay.
And that same 3-decker now is like, I remember last time I checked on Zillow, $780,000.
And that's and it's probably going to sell for over $1 million. That $700,000 is just starting to get the bidding war going. But gentlemen, that's a good segue. We now have 2 candidates who said they're running for mayor. Josh Kraft announced a few weeks ago that he is now a candidate for the mayor of the city of Boston.
Oh, by the way, he does teach financial literacy at the Mattapan Community Center with the Josh Kraft.
Oh, okay.
So it's very important.
Michelle Wu, the current mayor of Boston, who is running for mayor. Now, Mayor Wu is the incumbent, so she has a record now. She had one as a city council member at large, which is at large councils. They basically represent the same population as the mayor. They represent all of the constituents of the city. She was the president of the council. She ran on a lot of issues, and I have to ask folks, what do you grade Mayor Michelle Wu's performance? Because she ran on fixing mass and cast. She ran on improving the schools in the city of Boston. She ran on getting the cost of housing down here in the city of Boston. And, crime, I think sometimes people try to take credit for that, but I was at the Baker House meeting the other day, and it looks like it's going in the wrong direction. That's why I tell people, don't sit on your laurels and act like you got some magic bullet, no pun intended, to fix these problems. And then when it starts to go awry, well, I thought you had an answer for it. So ask people, what do you grade? Because I was talking to folks, there's several schools that are going to be closing next year. In Boston, they're closing several schools in the city of Boston. The population has declined there, and they're not being honest, in my opinion, because there are more schools that are on the chopping block. They just haven't announced it because of politics, right? I don't think the city is in any better shape now. Taxes have gone up. Valuation of homes have gone up according to the taxes, so people are paying more for property taxes.
And look at the resource, like the Madison High School, like how that thing is like a shell of what it used to be.
It's a vocational school, but
exactly.
It's not operating in that way.
I remember when my brother went there, he had the electrical program, the carpentry program, the automotive program. You had so many different avenues to pursue to get like a blue collar job that had benefits.
And ironically, the principal that was at Madison Park, and they wouldn't allow him to jumpstart it, is now the principal down in Brockton. He's been there, Kevin McCaskill, for a little year, and he's really turned that school around. And that's one of the things he focused on was vocational education, because he realized a lot of these kids
they want those kind of jobs.
But even if they want to go to college,
they can't afford it.
Dr. Bradley, you still at Curry?
Yeah, I'm still there.
What's the cost to attend Curry College?
Last I heard, it was roughly around 70,
right?
69, 70,000.
BU is $100,000. So even if someone is graduating from these schools and can apply.
But here's the funny, just to bring out a point here. Do you know that in the Boston public school system, if you maintain a B average, okay, for your scholastic career, whether you started from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade, but if you maintain a B average when you have with your scholastic career in the Boston public school system, you are entitled to go to any community college in the Massachusetts system on a scholarship basis for free. So you can get now your 2 years of community college for free. And if you maintain a B average while you're in community college, you now can attend the Harvards and MITs and get your regular BU. And BU even has a program that's for all 4 years.
Yeah. But see, the thing is there's two things here, because I teach at one of those colleges. By the way, I teach at Massasoit. That's one of my adjunct professorships that I do. I have seen a significant, and when I say a significant uptick in the in my classroom attendance. And I teach online. In fact, I just got a call yesterday from the dean to say, "Can I add another student to your class because you have more than you normally have, and you have an overflow. We'll compensate you for it." And I was like, "It's not a problem. It's not a problem." So I designed the course and I put it online and I work with the students. He's absolutely correct. This is the problem. Most of our people don't know
that.
Right.
On purpose.
Right.
Most of our people don't know it. So when I go when I go through my roster, I'm like, where are we? You know what I mean?
So,
dude, where are we?
So do you understand what I mean? Like, it was illegal for us to read and write. So literacy was outlawed for us when we were slaves. So imagine the exponential impact if financial literacy was taught to our community. All right. So I'm like, the revolution will not be televised, but it must be taught.
It won't be in the book. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the round table.
Oh, peace. Jamal back again.
Yeah.
So now, first of all, let me tell you something about yourself.
Please do.
Okay? So first of all, Dr. Bradley, I'm not going to let you get away with what you just said, talking about your children and how accomplished they are, as if it is only because of a police salary, sir.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay? Because we know people like you, I've been around you, I've been around Larry. it's also the emphasis of what you instilled in your household.
Very
right.
true.
You're
Very
right.
true.
I agree.
Okay?
I agree.
Because you could have been working at Home Depot, Walmart, whatever. You could have been a carpenter, a plumber.
Yeah.
But what it is you instilled in your household and your children, that to me is the thing. Not just the paycheck that was coming in. So now, like, I watch Larry, and I see the time that he puts into his two little daughters, right? Now, they're young yet, but we already know where they are, what the trajectory is, just based off what is already, what they say in the computer terms, garbage in, garbage out.
Yep.
Right. So same thing, purity in, purity out, right? And you guys, both of you guys who've been, in the force for all this time, working with a multitude of people who had the same salaries and all this type of thing. But some people just focused all their time on partying and,
Or the fancy car, the sneakers.
right? You see, so you cannot. It's unfair, Dr. Bradley and Larry, for you to compare yourselves to the average Bears.
Well,
because your emphasis on this thing is what breeds those results.
No, I thank you for that, Jamal, and that's why many times I have said to Dr. Bradley on this air and publicly and privately how he has been a mentor for me. Sometimes you don't even know the impact that people are having, because I know it has had it on me, and I've tried to pay it forward because someone did it for me. And then you have someone later on tell you, you don't realize what you've done for them. Just taking that time with them and doing what you do to help them. So Jamal, no, your point is well taken. I think, I guess the better way would say it is that it has financially allowed us to do some of the things that we probably would not have done. But who we are as individuals is shaped from.
It's got to play a role. And I do appreciate that comment and the observation, Jamal, because one of the things that I said to my children, all 5 of them, is that you got to be equal to or better than. And what I meant by that is that you have to be equal to what I'm doing or better than what I'm doing. And my daughter will tell you quickly with Dad, that's a high bar.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that was done on purpose.
But I also think Jamal needs to be given his flowers too. And I know we're not turning this, but because Jamal has really helped me. I met him a long time ago. When there was the whole controversy about police being able to search someone's home, and they wanted to have a community meeting at MAMLEO, and people were like, "Oh, you shouldn't do." I'm like, "Wait, man, people have a right to be heard."
That's right. Exactly.
And over the years, we've gotten to know each other. And Jamal, I consider him a brother more than anything. And people would probably say, "Well, these guys have a lot of different interests and whatnot," but what we have in common is our love for people, our love for our community, and that brotherly love, right? And that will take you further than 5,000 Facebook friends.
Well, you have black cops, black police officers, and I'm not going.
You go call it out. Come on, Dr. Bradley, call it out.
Black cops that will look at Jamal and say, "I don't want to deal with this dude.
Right.
I don't want to deal with him
because they don't want to.
But I say to them, think about this. You know what I mean? This man is actually saying to you is that just because you're a police officer, you're still a man of color.
Right.
All right. And being a man of color, you need to understand, you need to be appreciative of the fact that I'm asking you and I'm pushing for fairness.
Right.
So what is the protocol? Which is one of the things I like about this particular show.
Right.
Because we're in a position to educate our community on what they should and should not do when they're encountering people with the authority that we have.
But we're not financially compensated for the work we do here. And that's what people don't understand. There's no paycheck for coming here and do this. This is out of giving back to our community because we've had so many good things and blessed things in our lives.
No, I love the fact that you guys are very open-minded, and the fact that you guys do take new information in and allow people to talk, and very inclusive in regards to who you guys. Even if the person's opposed to what you're saying, you guys still invite them in and allow them in. So, but it is funny. One of the things that Jamal said was the fact that just because you guys made the money, the money doesn't make you. Okay.
No.
So but it's good to have money. Okay. No. Money is not a bad thing, but it's good to have money.
It certainly helps.
It allows you, but I think sometimes people think that is their identity.
Yes.
Right?
Very
their
true.
Bank account, and to me, it's more humbling when you're able to give back in a meaningful way. Yeah. And sometimes it's not just the monetary, because sometimes the easiest thing is to write the check.
Yeah.
But actually go out there and do the work.
My point too is that I've seen people with more money who do less.
Yeah.
Very
And I've
true,
seen
very
people
true.
with less money
Do
who've
more.
done more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You dig?
Yeah.
So the thing is, it's the fabric of what you are instilling, like real family values
Yeah.
and this type of stuff. We just talked about Elon Musk. You know, he got more money than everybody in our listening audience.
Right.
And he's still
right?
wow.
Right, because
That's-
my children would not have acted like that. even
No, but
with
that's a very
Donald Trump.
profound point. The guy is the richest man in the world, and he's still not satisfied.
Right, no, because it's you can own so much money, but now it becomes about the power grab. Jamal, stand by. I want to bring this other caller into the conversation. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the roundtable.
Yes, good morning, everyone. This is T. Michael Thomas from the People's Academy.
What's up, my T, Michael?
What
Ah,
say you this
boy.
morning? Where do you begin? Right.
Great show as always, and I'm always listening. But I wanted to touch back a little on the Madison Park situation. And what the community is not aware of is the individuals and the culprits who is defunding and has been slowly shutting down Madison Park, as they have done with every trade vocational program in the black community. The culprit is the union, and I'm a product of the union. And they all know that's a billion-dollar industry. It's the key to the middle class. And our representatives are dropping the ball.
Well, then the union's going to have to pay for that.
I have to point out, look at in Boston. We have over 200 liquor licenses. Great. Weed dispensaries. Great. Everything else. We don't have one trade apprenticeship program to get folks acclimated into the building trade, especially individuals returning home and over 25 years old.
Yeah.
Think about that.
No, that's true. You know, I think, like, you know, Jamal's point is that, you know, a lot of this happens because we're not plugged in. We're not doing our part. We kind of look out for self, right? A lot of these things we could change. Like, you know, when I go back and I look at history, and I'm a history buff, and I see how we built our own, you know, Tulsa and all that, right? It's almost like when we weren't trying to assimilate into a world that is clearly now pushing back, saying we really don't want you. We wanted the appearance that we were embracing you and your sexuality, your race, and your different diversity. We don't even want to talk about that. We don't even want it in any document. We don't want to see you, so you be invisible. You know, matter of fact, if we can deport you someplace else, we will. So because everything has become very transactional in our world. If I'm not getting anything out of it personally, then I'm not interested. You know,
personally and immediately.
right? Because who would come in here and commit to what we do on Saturday mornings in the cold and pretty much year round, and they're not being paid? Most people that go behind the airways, they're getting it either through their podcast. They're making something for themselves, right? It actually costs us money to drive into the city.
Yes, it does, and time,
Right.
and opportunity, by the way.
Right.
Because I could be doing a lot of things with the time. But the point here is that, in my opinion, we are obligated. The people we are obligated to educate those who do not have it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Larry, we both kind of went on the same grounds as a child. We were raised by people who came from the South, who struggled to get us to where we are, you know, and because we're where we are, we're in a better position than they. So we represent their dreams,
Right.
all right? So think about this. If we can now educate the people that's coming behind us, if we can then get them to be where we are or better, that's progress.
Well,
That's progress for our
because we
people.
understand history. Let me just say this quickly, Jamal, and then I'm gonna let you have it for mine. Just think about if, you know, for one person alone, Harriet Tubman. If Harriet Tubman had just said, "I'm free," and the rest of y'all got problems, right? She kept going back.
Yeah.
With the risk of her own freedom, right? Own peril, right? So that's what sticks in my mind. Is I'm nowhere near Harriet Tubman. I don't have the same risk that she does. But if that woman could do it during those times, and I can't do it when it's easier for me to do it,
something's wrong.
Go ahead, Jamal. I'm sorry.
Okay. No. So also interject the societal times, if you will. So as y'all remember, back in the days, well, you know, the first black thing, the Soul Patrol. The Soul Patrol. It could have been a doggone TV show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this was the type of things everybody had: the black power fist and the pick and the afros, and you know what I mean. Y'all remember afros?
You could. Right now, but back in the day, I remember them before I became, you know, where I am now.
Right. Before you became hair challenged.
But see, there's the other piece, right? Because you know, Jamal, Dr. Bradley and I didn't know each other. Billy Sylvester, I remember when Dr. Bradley said this. He aspired. He saw Billy Sylvester in that, and I was Billy Sylvester's driver when I was a cadet, right? So he impacted, and I saw him and how he connected with his community, right? And he didn't use that power he has just for himself. He used it for black officers, including myself. I would have never became a detective as young as I was if it wasn't for people like Billy Sylvester, who were advocating getting me into specialized units, right, where it was almost prohibited for us to be into, right? And this is why when I see people today who can just do it with the stroke of a pen.
Well, brother, listen, let me tell you something. I was watching MAMLEO produce or publish the Impactful Black Commanders on Black History Month. And I said to myself, there were 3 black commanders that influenced me immensely. The first one was Billy Sylvester, because I saw Billy at the Kite Festival with the stars on his shoulders, and I said, I can do that. I have never seen this, and I ended up becoming the same rank eventually, some 15 years later. And then Willie Saunders, who was one of the best commanders I have ever seen. You know, I worked with him, and he taught, and I observed him. I shouldn't say I worked with him. I observed him, and I used some of his techniques and his philosophies of commanding and put it in my own toolbox. When I became a commander, I was able to use that and help my people.
Dr. Bradley, I just learned the other day, because I didn't know this about him either. But like he was a Tuskegee Airman.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He was a Tuskegee Airman.
And his rank was detective. He was not a sergeant.
He wasn't. Exactly. You know, and the third one is the reason why I have this alphabet called PhD behind my name was Flo Creed. Right. Flo Creed was the one who said,
First black female superintendent.
Yes, you can do it. You know what the problem is that you're defeating yourself by thinking that you can't.
She was an attorney, but the thing about her too was that she was very humble, right? Yes. If you met that woman, Flo Creed, she's passed. you would not know she was as well because she didn't see it as a weapon.
Yeah.
And that's what I think sometimes, like, our current commissioner is very arrogant. I have to be honest, because his testimony at the city council hearing was saying that black people don't apply themselves when his highest rank is sergeant and he is now the commissioner of the police department. So how much did you apply yourself? Why didn't you continue to take exams so that at least your civil service rank would be captain? If you're looking down your nose at others and saying that they didn't apply themselves, you don't look like this leader who has done all these great things, you know, to be thumbing your nose at someone. But now that it's been handed to you, now all of a sudden you're better than the rest of us?
My response to that is say, let's define that. You know what I mean? Because you can apply yourself, but you have a system in place that would deny you even though you apply yourself. Yeah, I can give you my situation when I scored a 98 on the exam.
Right. You had the highest score.
I had the highest score in the city.
Probably one of the last.
I was one of the last. I was in the last group, the last person.
Right.
You know what I mean? I had just scored a 97 on the rules and procedures, and they told me I couldn't talk.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And folks, I'm going to share this with you.
That's the reality.
I'm going to share this with you all, Jamal, and because Dr. Bradley, I don't know if you remember this. You and I both, we appealed our oral boards because we did. You had to do the video down at I think it was at the Fleet Center.
Yes,
right?
Fleet Center.
They had it right, and he was in looking at his, and I was right next to him, and I said, you know, I'm like, the quality of it was so
horrible.
Right?
I couldn't see me.
Right, all it looked like was a black dot on the screen, right?
That's right.
And all I could see, because he has these bright white teeth, right? And I'm like, I would be distracted by that if I was looking at that, right?
Yeah.
You all set him up to fail. He had the highest written mark in the department.
Yeah.
And yet, after they factored in his oral boards, he almost didn't get promoted.
Yeah, exactly. And it was Brighton. And give it Brighton his due. Brighton was like, this is wrong.
Yeah.
This is wrong.
Before that old interrogation video.
Yeah. And so I say that you can have the commitment, but if the system is is designed for you to fail, you can apply yourself all you want to. And like I was telling a young man the other day, we were talking about advanced degrees, and I said, son, you got to remember one thing in America as a black man. You can have all the advanced degrees that you want, but if you don't have the opportunity, you will never realize what those advanced degrees
Let's
can give
unpack
you.
that, and then we'll get back to T. Michael for a second. Let's unpack what we're talking about here. We know we've seen people just confirmed to some of the highest positions in our government, including Donald Trump. Right? We know aren't qualified. And people who confirmed them know they're not qualified. But the only qualification they needed was that's what he wanted, and they were white. Anyone that looks like us, who people are saying they're saying it in private. Some of them are saying publicly, well, we know they're not qualified, but this is what they want.
Well, the DEI highest,
right?
The DEI highest. It's like, wait a second, you have an individual who is a vice president, who was an attorney, who went to one of the most prestigious schools in the country, historical black colleges, have been all these things, and she's a DEI hire, but yet you want to hire Pete, head chef, who's all he has is a talk show, right? You want to hire
one of the lowest ranks in the military.
Yeah, you want to hire Margaret Taylor Greene, right? Who she can't even spell indictment. Right. Come on. So DEI is there. DEI is there to make sure that you have a fair opportunity, but they have used it as the new N-word. That's what it basically means now.
We don't push back in a way. T. Michael, anything before we let you go, brother? I know you.
Yes, sir. Oh, I got a few out. I'll make it quick.
Yep.
On that particular subject, I'll take myself as a prime example. The Central Artery Big Dick Tunnel, when 9/11 occurred. They needed someone to go to St. Louis to complete a mock-up, and they didn't want it coming back and embarrass the Commonwealth to lose that federal funding. I was sent without a detail when the planes weren't flying.
Yeah.
All right, that's one. Number two, I will personally challenge any white person, even there's one left that's alive that was my teacher, and he will come forward and tell you that I became better than they are. And one of the reasons, to last thing, why I took over the State House project, because those white elites couldn't do the job right. Suffolk Construction kept rejecting it. And guess who they sent? T. Michael Thomas.
I got my story.
Also, well, I want to say congratulations to T. Michael, who's going to be receiving an award on Saturday, February 22nd, celebrating Black History Month. Health is Wealth. He's going to be receiving an award for the work he's done and continues to do at the African American Ball. It's like I said, at the Western Boston Seaport District Hotel. Him
Amen.
along with others. Congratulations,
brother.
well deserved.
Congratulations, brother.
Event.
And I'm also going to be one of the designers as well.
Yeah.
Amen.
And Dr. Bradley and Jamal, and they want to know what I know you're having the swimsuit competition as well. Some of your artwork
Absolutely.
I've seen some of your artwork, so they'll be there. If they don't get tickets for this one, they'll be at that event, the swimsuit event.
Not for nothing, I do need to get one of these copper bracelets I hear so
I'm wearing
much
mine.
about.
I got mine on.
Brother,
Pastor
you
Hobbs
got
has his.
VIP. I don't know what you're waiting on to come get one.
All right. Matter of fact,
Okay,
I'll grab it and get it to you, Jamal. Yep. Because I actually, Oh,
Yes,
you can
sir.
get it. Yeah, you guys.
Whenever you're ready,
I have
come get
mine
one.
here. You can't see it on the screen, but
Well.
Dr. Pastor Hobbs wears his all the time. I'll be out. Where you get that from? From the People's Academy. But to that point, you're talking about air. Like the quick first Donald Trump out of his mouth was when the plane and the helicopter crashed in D.C. There was a DEI hire, right? He had he's I know everything, right? And now the facts are coming out that the helicopter folks had their equipment either turned off or whatever, and it wasn't a black woman like they wanted to put it out there in the atmosphere at first. It was a white female who was flying the helicopter, but this was a tragic accident. But you put that poison out there, right? So this is why we can't have those people. Like he even said, well, there are jobs for those people, but this isn't it. As air traffic controllers or pilots. What is it? The jobs? He said that numerous times, that it's just cleaning his shoes and taking care of his kids. It's crazy.
But the fact of the matter is that we have some of those people that he's talked about voted for him.
Yeah.
Some of those people support him.
And they're walking around with handcuffs on saying
Exactly.
that they voted for him
Exactly.
as they're being deported.
Exactly.
I was listening to the other day, it was down in Miami, there was a bunch of Venezuelans, because he just put out another executive order saying basically that Venezuelans really have no value here and that they can be deported. And they're like, oh, Donald Trump lied to us. They were all protesters. They're all because they're watching their family and their friends being deported. Hey, you know what? He told you what he's going to do. He like Donald Trump lying. You know how Donald Trump is lying? His lips are moving. T. Michael.
Did y'all see when the Nazis tried to gather in Ohio?
No.
Yes, I did.
No.
Littleton, someplace in Ohio, and
Like
Langstown, yeah.
What happened? No.
something like that.
Yeah.
What happened?
So the Nazis, were coming to this spot in Ohio, which is a traditional black community, kind of the outskirts of, like, I want to say Cincinnati type of thing.
Yeah, it is. Cincinnati, yeah.
And the black people showed up and showed out.
Yeah, they filmed both.
And-
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, everybody who could bear arms did so.
Oh, okay.
It was a large gathering.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't see this. I haven't been watching the news.
The police department backed in the U-Haul, opened up the U-Haul and got the Nazis in the U-Haul and closed the door and got them out of there. And they ended up burning the flag. And the black people, the black men and women, they were armed to the T. So was the Nazis. And they were like, let's do it. We're not tolerating it. And they got them out of there quick.
Right. I tell people,
Quick,
I don't
yeah,
advocate
fast.
violence, but what I don't advocate also is complacency.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well,
advocate.
okay, so now that's the good thing. So all the people who out there too were disciplined gun owners.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I saw fingers off triggers. What have you. So there was no violence,
No.
but it was also too just you're not just gonna come roll up in here.
That's right.
And and so as Dr. Bradley said, the U-Haul would, another term, U-Haul your behind out of it.
And they hauled out too. Trust me.
Yeah,
They got in the back of that U-Haul quickly.
Yeah.
As they say in the military, quickly,
Yeah.
people, quickly.
See, Michael, any final comments? I know.
Yes. Yes, I will encourage folks to go to the Paul Revere Heritage Museum in Canton. We have an exhibit on all 3 floors. That's very important. Also,
Is that still open? Is that still running? I know I took my
yes,
daughters
it's
over
open
there.
on Saturdays.
Right, Saturdays only.
From
Right,
about like 11 or 12 or so to about 3. It's free parking, free entry.
And folks, remember
Also-
Saturday, because I took my daughters during the week one time and we couldn't get in, so it was closed. But it's Saturday only, folks. So today,
Yes.
yeah. So
Unless if there is a group of individuals would like to visit, I can make a call and they will open it for that particular day.
we should do a MAMLEO day out there. That would be good.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Also, what I wanted to say was that this is an important climate we're in, based on the criminal that's in the White House. Here is an opportunity.
Which one?
For us.
They're loaded.
I'm sorry,
They're
there's a whole
loaded.
bunch of them. My mistake. There is a bunch of them. But here is an opportunity for us now to come together and have the first trade school in our community and an opportunity center. Put all differences aside, this is our chance. Like we can now this is our time to come together and have our own, to educate our own.
Yeah.
Great show. I'll be listening, and Jamal, my brother, just let me know. Come get a bracelet, whichever one you want.
Wow.
Need to, and you know what? I need copper training because I'll be watching these TV shows.
Absolutely.
No, look. I want to build a moonshine.
Listen,
So Jamal,
I knew he was coming up with something.
listen. So you really gonna need some copper training is how to keep the coppers from finding you.
listen, I can help you build any of that stuff. No problem.
Gentlemen, speaking of moonshine, do you guys realize that the internal combustible engine, the reason why it's called a gasoline engine is because the gas company wanted it to be called a gasoline engine? Because before, when Henry Ford actually first made the car, you could put moonshine and run the car on moonshine. So people, that's what, when they went for alcohol prohibition, that's what they were really going after. They didn't want people making their own gasoline at home.
Yeah,
Follow the money, folks. Follow the money.
The first car was really Mercedes.
Yes.
Yeah, it was Mercedes. Bertha Mercedes.
And they were
actually-
electric, too,
Yeah,
but they
Bertha
didn't-
Mercedes actually
they didn't
supported her husband's tinkling with the vehicle that he was going to send it to welfare.
Yeah.
And he decided that he was not going to do it. And she said, "No, I put too much money in this." So she got in the car, put some alcohol in it,
yes.
and drove the car from one destination to her mother's house.
So now people just put alcohol in themselves.
That's how you feel the car.
How you feeling? You had no passenger compartment then. You had to feel that wind, man. You know what I mean?
That's how
Hey, not for nothing, gentlemen. Let me give you another little Black History tidbit. Do you know that Henry Ford was definitely trying to court
George Washington Carver?
Exactly.
The peanut man,
so
yes.
he created a lot of these polymers, which a lot of people, they the peanut and all this type of thing, but they don't understand the other polymers and plastics that he developed.
Yes.
And there is a video or whatever it was back then.
It was back then.
Film,
Black
thank
and white.
Yes, of like them hitting the sides of the Model T Fords with sledgehammers with this undentable or refractable polymer that I believe that one was made out of, like sweet potatoes or something like that, but whatever. He made a plastic polymer that later, do y'all remember that car company called Saturn?
Yes.
Right, they like said their stuff was undentable.
Yeah.
But that same polymer from George Washington Carver ended up being on the Nassau shuttles, and was back then from Henry Ford. Henry Ford tried to get George Washington Carver to leave Tuskegee, and he said, "No, thank you. I'm just going to stay here and continue doing what I'm doing," because Ford was trying to take all of that.
Yeah, all that
Black
technology
market.
for himself. And every time he went down there, he tried to entice him by as he got older, the only reason that George Washington Carver had an elevator in his house is because Henry Ford was he's like, it's kind of hard for me to walk up these stairs, and Henry Ford got an elevator put in his house for him.
Wow. Yeah.
Pastor Harvey had something.
And has anyone ever heard George Washington Carver speak?
I have. I've only
A little bit of it, yes.
Yeah.
He had a very shrill voice.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know it's because he was castrated when he was a slave.
Yes, he was.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, this is why this history is so important.
But
And this is why they don't want people to understand what has been done to our people.
But this is how they whitewash. This is why I love history.
Whitewash.
Have you ever heard of Wentworth Cheswell?
No.
Wentworth Cheswell. I'm going to Google him right now.
Wentworth Cheswell was the black man that rode with Paul Revere.
Yes. Yes.
When Paul Revere rode to Lexington. He rode to New Hampshire.
But they only talk about
Paul Revere. Wentworth Cheswell was the black man who also rode to say the British was coming. They whitewashed it out of the history.
Whitewash, no pun intended. Pastor Hobbs, you some comments?
Yeah, so our sister Ibina from Australia, she says, do you brothers know about the brilliant inventor from Zimbabwe, Maxwell Chikumbutsu, who has powered a car with radiation from the atmosphere, never runs out of free fuel, no emissions.
Yep.
She said she'll put the link on Facebook.
Please do.
No,
Actually, Nikola Tesla. You know how like you've seen the Jetson cars on the TV, like the Jetson. All you have to do is turn on the radio, and that's how your car was powered and it could fly around. Nikola Tesla actually did invent that free electricity, but what happened was when J.P. Morgan came in and he was like, "Okay," he says, "This I'm showing you how it works," and J.P. Morgan said, "Okay, great. Where's the meter?" He's like, "Oh no meter. It's going to be free electricity." And J.P. Morgan did one of these behind his back. He's like, "No, not on my back.
No, not on my watch. Not to my profits." That's the same. You look at what things are costing. So again, folks, let's get back to this mayor's race. We now have two candidates. We now have a mayor who has been in the incumbent, who's been in office for the last, she's in her fourth year now. A lot of the things that she ran on her record, I would ask folks out there, if you're listening, how would you grade the Mayor Michelle Wu, on the promises that she made to improve on some of these things, and they haven't happened? Are they like Donald Trump? Maybe, Donald Trump said he was going to improve the economy. I know there's a bird flu out there, but I'm sure the Health and Human Services and all those Department of Commerce and all that are going to be making up lies about what's going on. So you won't be able to get the truth from your government about what is really going on. The Department of Agriculture is I'm looking for. So I say all this is because now we have where everything's going to be questioned, and it's a conspiracy theory. It's not the truth, but people's lives are at stake over this foolishness. And he said he was going Russia and Ukraine would be done in 24 hours. All these things, he would be bringing down the cost of things. All of these tariffs are just going to cost more.
I don't know why the media doesn't play his promises versus what's going on right now.
Because people will say, well, because even when they have, people say, well, yeah, we know we have to bear this pain for a little while because the dear leader says that this is what it's going to take.
Well, my first thing is that we have too short of a memory in this country. We don't tend we don't tend to remember the things that we were promised when it comes down to voting. When we're in the voting booth, we forget that these things did not happen because a large part of the thought, in my opinion, is predicated on hatred.
Hello, there you go.
Let's call it.
They'd rather feel the pain.
Yeah, let's call it what it is. Like they rather be hurt in order to actually, before they see you do something or get something, or they perceive that you're getting something.
The whole thing is divide and conquer, because there was the People's Party with, I believe, Eugene Debs. He tried to actually unify the black and white folks. And again, same thing with the unions. They put a wedge in there because the unions were the people that said, no, we didn't want, because he said, let's represent both black and white people as part of the labor force. And again, like he ran for president from prison. You ever heard of Eugene Debs?
Yeah, I heard of him.
Yeah. So, but bottom line is the country or the people that are in control or in power have made sure, like even the fact that they made it illegal for white women to marry black people, even like it's in laws like in Maryland, Alabama. So that means people were getting married and they were like, we ain't gonna have this.
Yeah, right? but see, the point here is that what they're doing is that they're shifting our focus.
Yes,
what's the shiny object?
Yeah, exactly. So the focus now is like, it's zero-sum game.
Right.
Yeah.
If the black person gets something, then I'm not. But if we actually can shift the focus back to what is really happening, the lack of resources poor.
Right. I want to grab this call 1 second.
The color will not.
Exactly.
But I think also this whole thing with all these executive orders, right? Donald Trump is playing the game, right, where folks are saying, well, see, I wanted to do these things for you, but the judges, the courts, he knew that these things were illegal to begin with, like, because he's not law abiding. So he'll try to take credit for, look, I tried, but the courts shut me down, knowing
It's
that
political
they
theater.
Right, they
That's
weren't
what it was,
legal
political
to begin
theater,
with,
yeah.
right? So he's trying to get credit for something he know he could never pull off, right?
So
And
that's
if
the
he
same
did-
thing. If the judges didn't do it, then he could blame the Democrats.
Right.
He'll have someone else to blame for no matter
exactly,
what.
right. They get back in power. Caller, good morning. Welcome to the roundtable.
Good morning. I'd like to ask you a question, Larry.
Yep.
I'll give Michelle Wu a complete alpha.
F. Okay.
Okay.
And in which areas? Which, be more specific?
All of the above.
All of the above. Okay. All right. So
How's that going to drive your voting, though?
right. And I mean, are you talking? I know. Are you talking to people? Because it seems like Jamal was saying earlier, like people still don't seem to be plugged in. They're still not taking it serious. There are more people that don't vote than do vote. You know, and there are a lot of issues. Like I said, a lot of people to vote for. And I'm not here to tell people who to vote for. I'm saying is that there are issues, serious issues that face this city, right? And to me, having worked for the last 15 years prior to my retirement, working in the schools and seeing what's going on, and like I said, I saw one of my neighbors who works at one of the schools, and she told me the other day that she's in a school where 41 of her peers have been told that they don't have a job next year, but to come in every day for the remainder of the year and be happy. And that's just one building that wasn't on the list because their school is subject to close as well. They're just not telling the public because of the political side of this, the real number of schools that are going to be shattering their doors. And we have yet to hear from the state on whether or not there's been any improvement with allowing the city to continue. They gave them more time, and money is not an issue. The biggest part of the budget of the city of Boston's budget is 40% of it is the Boston public school system. And yet, when you're spending almost because their budget for this year is almost $1.5 billion. Think about that, folks. $1.5 billion, and you're closing schools and the population is declining. What is the justification that we're spending that money on? And we're not seeing any improvements. So I'm saying to you, are people having intelligent conversations about not just voting on whether you like someone or not, but have they kept their word?
Well, first and foremost, I got to make this perfectly clear. I don't waste time with people who don't vote.
Okay.
For the ones that do vote, we do have a very long, healthy, productive conversation. And one of the problems was that when Michelle Wu ran, she went on this new Democratic, left-leaning, progressive side of making Boston the #1 city in the world. Not the country, but the world. That was her focus. So a lot of people, and yes, I did vote for the woman, so I'm a registered voter. I bought into what she was saying, but looking at what she has done so far, it's a complete disaster because, yes, the schools are closing. I talked to many parents saying that they was completely blindsided, lied to. One person that I talked to one parent was crying right to my face, telling me, I can't, and this is they were closing the Denver school. I'm sorry,
I saw it on the Denver's,
in Dorchester. She was bawling her eyes out because she said that I thought that this mayor, who does have kids, will understand my concern and my pain to give my child a better, decent education. And I told her that was one of the reasons why, just because she has kids, the mayor, doesn't mean that her kids isn't going to the same school as your kid went to.
Yeah, I think
that's always like the bait and switch.
Yeah.
Also, I also tell people that make sure you do your homework. We have many resources out there. We have information. We can Google. We can Bing. We can do all these stuff to double check on what the mayor is doing or what she's not doing. Because last time I checked, I voted for her to help me make my life better. Again, I can make my I do need help, but politically speaking, I needed her to give me what I need in terms of making sure that I have a safe, Boston's a safer place to walk down the street. Mostly public safety reasons, but other than that, I feel that this mayor has completely betrayed the public's trust, trying to be more popular, and trying to not hold her own faults to account.
Well, let me just jump in there because we're running short on time. I think, what bothers me with this Mayor Wu, honestly, is I remember her saying numerous times when she was running, and one of the reasons why she was running is because she said when she was in the council, she felt like she wasn't being heard. And that's resounding because she said that was really the hallmark of why she was running. And here she is doing this to people. What she said she didn't want done to her is not listening, whether or not you take their advice. But I think people have the right to be heard, particularly people who are constituents who are you're responsible for things that impact their lives. And to your point about safety, I'm like, you're probably more likely to get hit by a bus than a bullet in Boston now because of these bike lanes and stuff. So people are saying they don't want that. They said they wanted an elected school committee, not an appointed school committee. And it's like when the system is crumbling around you and people are saying this is not working. Ray Flynn implemented this. It's not working. We want to go back to being able to hold people accountable, not just to you, Mayor, but to the voters. People should have that. And they spoke to that. That's what they want. And again, she's doing to people what she said she didn't want done to her. Dicka, thank you, sir. Please call back. We definitely are going to continue this because we're into the election cycle here for the city of Boston. Sadly, there's not sadly, but there's an election every year. People just don't pay attention to it. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Jamal, we got about 2 minutes. What say you as we wrap up, man? We're glad to hear you're back and T. Michael and the Boston Police's licensing will be showing up with the still.
I tell you what, really, with this mayoral election, I'm eager to just hear arguments on all sides.
Yeah.
You know, I want everybody to make their case, not only the candidates, of course, but, you know, all of the people who are supporting either side, whether positive or negative.
And I think also that should include the city council race too, Jamal. That doesn't get as much attention as the mayor's race, but
absolutely, yep, because that's coming up as well. Yeah. And and not for nothing too, I got to introduce you to a guy, Will. He's running for a city council at large and whatnot.
Is it African sounding last name? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I made the joke. It's African, or you can mistake it for Hawaiian.
Okay.
But he's a good dude for a while. Will Onahua, I want to say.
Okay.
I probably butchered that.
No, you did better than me.
But he's a good solid dude. And once again, you know, I'm not for anybody, but what I am for is for everybody to be heard.
Yeah, that's it.
And then for people to make their own decisions.
That is the
you know
base.
What I mean?
See, Jamal, to me, that's the baseline if you want to be a politician, right? Is to listen. And when you don't do that, because this is probably the first time in a long time that I've heard an incumbent where people have already had buyer's remorse. And I don't know if because it's a woman or calling herself a person of color for the first time, but if we had a person of color, we know that there's a double standard with that. But I tell you, I think she's more vulnerable than people think. You know, and I could be wrong.
Well,
I could be wrong.
You know,
I could be wrong.
I was going to say, politically, I would not bet my money on that.
Nah.
Josh Crabb, God bless him.
Yeah, I mean, we just heard from a voter who said he voted for her, and I'm hearing that from a lot of people. Who, you know, and I think a big driving thing is she's going into this with a lot of negatives, right? The housing costs. And then the big thing is a lot of these parents, like, I don't think any of those people who are out there picketing at the Diver School and some of these other schools, and now the teachers are out there picketing because they're up for a contract. Their contract is up.
We just had the Super Bowl. It's literally like predicting a football game.
Yes.
So, you know, what are we doing?
People thought Kansas City was going to win, and they didn't. So,
well,
they were the favorites. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I don't have a crystal ball.
People also thought Philadelphia was going to lose, and they didn't.
That's true. That's true. All right.
So
we've got to run, brother.
There we go.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Jamal. We'll be talking.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Okay.
God bless.
All right.
I was just going to mention that also. Don't forget, I believe Domingo DeRosa also is. He's throwing his hat in the ring.
Oh, okay. As he pulled his papers, that's okay. Well, we'll see.
I don't know who else is going to jump in, but
Mr. Rose, you got 10 seconds. Time's up. Good.
No, all I will say, folks, is like invest in yourself, get educated, get smart, and the great equalizer is like let's get rich.
Okay. On my brief second, I want to thank MAMLEO for inviting me to be the keynote speaker. for the Black History brunch on next Saturday. I'm looking forward to it.
What time is that again?
It's going to be from 10 to 11.
10 to 11.
Yeah,
All right.
so
I
I'll
won't
be there at
but I'll
10.
be in spirit, man.
Oh, I hear you, brother.
I love you, brothers. I appreciate
Yeah,
y'all.
you take care
more
of your
than
family,
you
man.
know.
Do your thing, dog.
Absolutely.
Just come back to us. You know
yeah,
what I
with
mean?
a tan. I won't come here looking like a
Hey,
twin.
well, that's okay, brother. I mean, it's good to be on the dark side, man.
All right.
There's no problem about it. Get me in a lot of trouble when I was a single man. Be blessed. Be blessed.
All right.
You ain't gotta rock fake Jews who walk around strap. I respect artists getting money, but love them for spitting crack. And the fact that one track can move a family out the trap. It's a dream for us lost souls brought up in the mix. I'm motivated by the artists coming out in my midst. And the artists that paved the way when I didn't exist. Music's a skyscraper, I'm just trying to add a couple bricks.
This is for the dreamers. They say I am a dreamer. Cause I still believe that anything is possible as long as you work hard. Hustle real hard, hustle real hard. Hustle real hard, hustle so if I never see ya, never get the chance to meet ya. No, I came up from the bottom, always rooting for the underdog.
I always